Nothing new is working for Hollywood, and thus Hollywood has turned the page back. That's right, they're going way, way back to the 80s. Today we're here to tell you that there is a new slew of movies on the way, and they're going to be sequels to beloved franchises that you remember from your childhoods. We're talking Goonies, we're talking Gremlins. Let's get started. Latest news right now. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we, as ever, endeavor to explain. Keeping you ahead of the culture curve is what we do, and we love doing it. Folks, we're going to dive in right now with a panel that is, just tremendous. You're going to love it. All we ask as we get started today is that you consider clicking the like button. And without further ado, Gremlins, Goonies, here we go. From CBR, new Gremlins and Goonies movies are in development. This by Lee Freitag. Two beloved 80s movies are being revived for the 2020s. Warner Brothers is currently in early development on a third Gremlins movie and a possible Goonies reboot. Hey, you guys! According to Deadline, Warner Brothers is developing a new Gremlins movie with Christopher Columbus. I thought they hated that guy. He's been gone for a while. It's about time he came back. And is working on a Goonies treatment. No other details have been shared at this time. By the way, how would you like to work in Hollywood and your name is literally Christopher Columbus?
It's worked out well for him. He's got 1492 productions.
The news was part of a larger look at the studio's future plans for some of its biggest franchises, including The Lord of the Rings, The Matrix, and DC Universe, a sequel to its 1998 romantic fantasy film, Practical Magic, with Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock returning, is also in the works. In other words, they are inspired by what they're seeing from Bob Iger and Disney. It is time for the sequel assembly line to assemble. From Fangoria, new Gremlins movie reportedly in the works. We've got lots of sites covering it. Amber T is the one doing this one. A new batch of Mogwai are reportedly coming to terrorize the big screen, with Deadline saying it's on the way. Everybody is covering this. Very few people are unhappy about it. People seem to be excited for a return to the 80s and to these nostalgic movies. But I just have to ask, is this the right move? Michelle, you just joined, so guess what? You're on the bell. Michelle, do you think that this is the right move for Hollywood, or do we need to move away from sequels and go to new stuff?
I feel like Lorena's her head roll just kind of did how I felt about this too. Of just, I think we're well beyond this. And how about you come up with something creative? You already mentioned Stranger Things. Stranger Things, very much, the Duffer Brothers heavily played on like a Goonies type situation, but created their own thing that became highly successful and popular all around the world. So why can't we just do more of that? Why are we going back and revisiting old IPs that, let's be realistic, outside of like Maverick, like very few things are successful when you come back all these years later and try to capture the magic again.
Capture the magic again? Huh. It's got a nice ring to it. I think we're going to send that over to Disney, see if we can get a paycheck. By the way, when it comes to going back and reviving these old franchises, I kind of think that it's sort of like how we've seen Hollywood dive deep into anime now and into video games. I think they're running out of content in the last few decades. I think they've destroyed it all. So now they're trying to find something that's not yet destroyed. That's where I think it is. Vash, you seem to agree. Why?
Oh, well, I think it's imperative that these producers in Hollywood and these the people who really sign off on this content creation really have an IP to mine from, right? A built-in audience in which to collect viewers and put them in seats in the theater, or get them to sacrifice their viewing minutes towards their content, because these things are so unbelievably expensive. A lot of people who bankroll these projects can put their faith and trust that, hey, you know what, at least we have some audience that we're going to cater to. But like you said, Pro, because they've destroyed so many different franchises, they're really digging deep into that well to see what hits and what doesn't. This is why I think, to your point, I think they're absolutely looking at anime and looking at the success that genre has had. They're also looking at video games again and video game adaptations, and looking to see whether or not there's something to mine there. It's these things are so expensive now. There is so much money involved in creating a series or creating a film that I think for a lot of these producers, they're like, hey, we really have to have something that people already like and love in which to showcase new product too. So they're getting down deep. Gremlins, Goonies, I don't know. I think Goonies, that's going to be really hard to capture that lightning in that bottle right there. But I can definitely see a Gremlins, I don't know, sequel to the franchise down the line in not a too dissimilar way that Ghostbusters may have done a couple years back.
So there's something I want to throw in here, because I originally was not very positive about this because I didn't think there was any story to it. Oh, they're going to do a reboot of thing. And someone here has asked, is 1492 Productions, lol, Jonas? Yeah, it sounded like I was making a joke. This will be, it's actually 1492 Pictures. Chris Columbus is a great director, and a lot of people, that's a name that obviously is odd for particular reasons, but Chris Columbus is the director of Home Alone 2, Mrs. Doubtfire, the first two Harry Potter movies.
Yes.
Sorcerer's Stone, where he was in charge of, obviously J.K. Rowling got to sign off on it, but he was the one in charge of the production there as they put together the framework for the entire series. So Chris Columbus deserves a lot of credit for how those films came out. Percy Jackson, Christmas Chronicles. This is a guy that he's good, and he had some involvement, I do believe, he was the writer of the original Gremlins and the original Goonies. So, I mean, obviously there are ways that these can go wrong. Spielberg was obviously the director on Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. But if you're going to have somebody come back and do this, to me, it would be like Bob Zemeckis and Bob Gale coming back and saying, well, if you do Back to the Future, which they won't, they won't. They've said you'll have to pry it from our cold dead fingers. This would be the person you would want involved if you were going to do something like this. And most of the original cast has expressed some interest in being in this film. Sean Astin, I just have to say that if there's a Goonies movie, they should find a way to stick Elijah Wood in there for some reason as well, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm not knowing that Chris Columbus is attached. It gives me a little bit more faith in what this movie could be. Maybe bring back Robert Davies as and Joey Pants as the Fratellis. I can see it. I can see it.
Well, we shall see, but a lot of people are going to decide whether to see it real soon. Lorena, then Culture. Let's go. Your thoughts on what we have here?
Again, Goonies, it was okay. It wasn't really my type of thing, but Gremlins, I freaking love that movie. I love the first one. The second one, not so much, but the first one, because it alternated between scary and funny. My sister would be scared of it, and I used to mess with her all the time about that. It's like we don't need another remake. But the fact that Chris Columbus, since he's the one who actually wrote it, it's like, okay, it remains to be seen. Yet again, why should we watch another remake? What are you going to tell us about these characters that we don't already know? And that's going to be the tough sell. If you give us something different and subvert our expectations in a good way,
easy, Ryan.
I could see it taken off, but again, it remains to be seen. It feels better knowing that the person who actually wrote it is involved with this, but we'll see. Because I mean, case in point, Cowboy Bebop, the person who actually wrote the manga was involved in it somewhat, and they handcuffed him, and we all know what kind of an abomination that turned out to be. So,
all right, Culture, you have a major responsibility. You get the final word on whether or not Hollywood should be going back to the wellspring of success they found in the 80s. What say you?
I think that they are doing it out of a misplaced idea of what will draw in more consumers. I think that reaching back into the past has been nothing but detrimental to them and to their consumers. I think largely the things that have been rebooted or threequeled or reboot-quelled or any of these other things have been largely failures. And I think that representing them to a new audience with little context aside from, remember this? Oh, you old people, won't you bring your kids to this? No, because the adults and the grandparents now recognize that this is going to be flavored with whatever garbage that is being inserted by a individual studio. In this case, when you throw Disney into the mix, you know for sure it's going to be tainted with a lot of modernity that you absolutely don't want to reinforce with the next generation. You kind of want to lift them out of that.
All
And
girl Goonies culture. Let's do it. Let's do Ghostbusters all over again.
yeah, that didn't work out very well, and that's kind of the broader point, in my opinion. I think that when you reach back into the well of something that was successful, it was successful for a reason. It was an original property, and this is incredibly lazy, which I think is the thing that offends me the most. They are incapable of working from new ideas. They can certainly reach into the similar themes, but the fact that they can't produce something new that will draw in a 4-quadrant audience speaks volumes, which is why you're getting tired retreads like Wicked. I know many of you love that thing, but I think that by breaking it into 2 films, you did a disservice to the audience and a clear money grab. And I think that the fact that when you get to part 2, people will maybe turn up their nose a little more than they did at the part 1, because I think you're going to discover the amount of stretch that they had to do and new material that's going to be put in there that isn't along the same lines of quality. I think you're going to be disappointed.
I'm excited for Land of Time 27 culture.
Yeah, I'm not really. What I'm more excited for are things that are original. And look, you can make originals all day long.
What's an original?
What's an
I don't
original?
remember those. Is that a classification of film we have not yet discovered?
Yeah, but see, you can have an original take, and Walt Disney did this all the time. We talk about the fairy tales that you can base things on, these themes, these ideas, these items in the public domain that have been passed down through generations. These stories can be retold without even throwing the familiar name on top of them.
Do you really want them to, culture? Do you really want them to go back into the fairy tales and start pulling those out?
I think. Well, no, I take your point, but I'm just going to say that largely, I mean, there are only really 7 stories out there to tell. So, you can just make something classic and original,
One of them is My Big Fat Greek Wedding. I know the 7.
Yeah, that's absolutely one of those great originals. But we haven't had that in a long time. You know what? Give me another Xanadu, but not Xanadu, right? Just
all right, Olivia. And that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. We are done for now, but don't worry. Do not fret. Not yet, for more content is still coming your way 4 times a day right here on the Pro Channel. What a joy it has been to share our time with you. We hope you feel the same. Adding value to your every single day is our job here, and we take it very seriously. Folks, the only thing we ask in return is that you consider clicking that like button. Share, subscribe, click it. Stick it to those algorithms. It's the notification bell. And drop a comment right on down below. And folks, if you'd like to subscribe to our partner YouTube channels, That Part Place, That Pod Place, That Game Place, and some of those radio stations like Vacation Radio, well, we certainly would appreciate it. Until the next time we have the honor of spending time and being invited into your day, folks, we go on our way saying this: keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.